Hello guys, I'm Rakesh from Analytics Plus and welcome to the first part of this three-part webinar series on how to implement continuous service improvement in your help desk. I hope you've signed up for all the three webinars in this series because I'm going to be talking about a lot of things that you can easily implement in your help desk without a whole lot of effort. In this part, I'm going to talk about how to implement continuous service improvement when it comes to request resolution time. In other words, I'm going to show you how you can constantly or continuously improve your request resolution times. Please use the chat icon on the bottom right corner of your webinar screen to post your questions. I will answer them in an email post the completion of this webinar. All right, so let's get to the steps it takes to implement continuous service improvement. So the first step is to identify the metric that you wish to continuously improve on. In our case, like I mentioned earlier, it's going to be request resolution time. So we're going to look at the different steps it takes to implement continuous service improvement. Now, the second step is to status check the current status of your metric or the metric that you picked. So this will involve understanding how my resolution times are at the current setup. And after that, we will discuss the different factors, or we have to identify the different factors that impact request resolution times. And then we'll have to come up with a way to monitor these factors. And finally, or the final step is to use analytics to continuously monitor improvements so you make this improvement part of your continuous cycle. All right, so we've already completed the first part, that is identifying the metric that we want to improve on, which is resolution time. So step two is to status check the current status of resolution time. Now, the best way to get an idea of your current resolution times is obviously running a report that shows you the recent trend in resolution times. To run this report and the rest of the reports that we will be looking at during the course of this webinar, we are going to be using ManageEngine Analytics Plus. Now, Analytics Plus is a business intelligence and analytics solution from ManageEngine. You can integrate Analytics Plus with ManageEngine Service Desk Plus or any other help desk in a matter of few minutes. Setting up the integration with ManageEngine Service Desk Plus is simple because Analytics Plus offers out-of-the-box integration with ManageEngine Service Desk Plus. So if you're interested in setting up this integration, you can either go to the admin panel on your Service Desk Plus application and look for the option Advanced Analytics, and you'll just have to follow the on-screen instructions to set up the integration. If you need some additional help, you can also head over to the ManageEngine YouTube channel and search for integration between Service Desk Plus and Analytics Plus, and you'll see a stepwise instruction guide on how to set up this integration. So as soon as you set up the integration, the application gives you out-of-the-box reports and dashboards in a matter of a few minutes. All right, so that was a quick introduction of Analytics Plus. So coming back to our steps to implement continuous service improvement. Now, like I mentioned, the second step is to status check the current status of your resolution times. So a simple report like this gives you a trend of resolution times over a period of the past few months. So in my case, it looks like my resolution time is somewhere between 7 and 9 days. Since resolution times vary greatly across different categories, a logical thing to do in addition to looking at a trend report like this is to look at resolution time averages across different categories. Now, this is a slight variation of the first report. So instead of looking at the resolution times or average resolution times across different months, this report shows you the resolution time or average resolution time across different categories. Now you can use the sort option here to sort this report from the highest to lowest. What I can see in my case is it looks like network access, ISP link, and faulty hardware issues take the longest time to resolve. So that was step two. So we got an idea of where we are currently in terms of the average resolution time. So the next step is to identify the factors that impact request resolution. Now, based on my experience, these are the three different factors that influence request resolution times. These factors might slightly vary depending on the nature of your business, but these are the top three factors that you need to watch out for: ticket assignment time, lack of technician expertise, and ticket reopens. Ticket assignment time is one factor that we usually tend to overlook while we talk about resolution times. When there is a delay in assigning a request to a technician, it obviously is going to increase the time it takes to resolve the request. Anyone who works in a help desk knows that a technician might not always be able to get to a request as soon as it is assigned to him. It usually goes into the technician's queue. The technician gets to it after completing his existing tasks, unless the new request is of a high priority, of course. Now, when there's a delay in assigning tickets to a technician, it adds to the amount of time it takes to resolve a request. And the second thing is lack of technician expertise. Now, this is another reason ticket resolution time might be high. Gone unnoticed, this could be detrimental to the help desk in the long run, because when a technician is assigned a request, let's say something that has to do with making changes in the firewall settings. Now, if the technician is not well trained in configuring a firewall, he would probably wait around for someone to help him out. All that waiting around is in turn going to increase your resolution time. And the final thing is ticket reopens. Now, this is a silent killer. To resolve requests fast, technicians might hastily close requests without taking enough care to address the problem reported by your users. In such cases, the users look at the resolution provided, feel unsatisfied, and reopen the request. Since these reopened requests involve a lot of rework, it inevitably increases the resolution time of the request. Not to mention, this also creates a lot of unsatisfied customers because they didn't get a proper resolution the first time. So those are the three different factors that impact resolution time, and that completes our step three as well, which involves identifying the factors that influence resolution time. So step four is to come up with ways wherein you can continuously monitor these factors. Now, when it comes to ticket assignment times, the best way to monitor assignment times is using an average assignment time trend report. Now, this report gives you the overall average time it takes to assign a request to a technician. By the looks of it, it looks like it takes anywhere between 10 hours to about 13 hours on average to assign a ticket in my help desk. Now, you may have different departments or support groups that vary quite a bit from each other when it comes to the way they function. So if you wish to monitor the assignment times in such groups separately, I would suggest a slight variation of this report. Now, this report shows you the split of average resolution times across the different support groups in your help desk. The assignment times don't seem to vary by a large degree across the different departments. So assignment times, in my case, needs to be improved as a whole in my help desk. Now, the best way to avoid delays in assignment time is to set up auto assignment rules based on request categories. However, there are always going to be requests that cannot be auto routed and have to be manually assigned. In such cases, it is important to closely watch the unassigned queue and tag it to the appropriate technician. All right, so that was factor one. Factor two that we discussed was lack of technician expertise. Now, no matter how well your technicians are trained, there are always going to be areas where they lack expertise. Now, some technicians may be good in certain areas, whereas lack knowledge in other areas. The best way to identify these areas is by looking at their resolution time across different categories. A technician who takes a lot of time in resolving a request in a certain category is likely not an expert in that area. And that is exactly what this particular report will show us. This report is quite handy because it shows me the resolution time across two different dimensions, category and technician. It shows me the individual averages along with the group or along with the overall average of the group. I can compare the group average with the individual average and find the areas where individual technicians are lagging behind. A high resolution in a certain area is an indicator of the lack of experience or expertise in that area. Now, for example, Heather's resolution time when it comes to administrative requests is the highest among the group. It's at about 23 days, which is 10 days more than the overall average. So it is important to do this exercise, especially when you have new technicians in your help desk. It is best to ensure new technicians receive comprehensive training before inducting them into the help desk. It is better to teach them things early on. Now, this reminds me of a popular local saying in India, which is where I'm from, and that translates to if it doesn't bend at 6, it's not going to bend at 60, which means if you don't teach kids all the basic stuff, such as table manners, public behavior, etc., at the age of 6, they're sure not going to learn them when they are 60. So it's better to have a comprehensive training program for new joinees to make them comfortable in the different areas that they need to deal with when they are inducted into the help desk. And the final factor that we discussed was ticket reopens. Now, a request reopen trend should give you a fair idea of how many requests gets reopened monthly. Now, this report gives me the actual number of tickets that get reopened each month. Now, I would recommend looking at the percentage of reopens rather than actual numbers. That is, the percentage of requests out of the total incoming requests that get reopened on average. In my case, the average number of requests that gets reopened is around 11 in recent times. Though it's not too bad, I should try to bring the number down a little lower. And the only way to reduce the number of reopens is closely monitoring your technician responses to ensure the technician fully understood the question that was asked and an appropriate response had been given. Now, one thing that I've noticed with a few companies is that technicians try to save time by throwing out help links or links to help documents when a user comes to them with the how-to question, rather than taking the time to answer the question directly. A specific response that is sent out is far more personal and productive compared to a link to a help document. Right, so a quick recap of what you can do to combat these different factors. When it comes to ticket assignment time, track the average assignment time trend. When it comes to finding out the areas where your technicians lack expertise, check the technician resolution times across the different categories. And when it comes to ticket reopens, monitor the percentage of ticket reopens. So we looked at how you can take stock or get an idea of the current resolution times. We discussed the factors that cause the resolution time to increase and the ways to monitor these factors and improve them. Now, the all-important step is to continuously monitor resolution times and make sure the changes are making a difference. Now, this is the initial report we started out with, or a copy of the report that we started out with, and it shows the average resolution time of requests in different categories. Now, I have a slight variation of this initial report. I'm going to introduce the resolution time from 3 months ago. And I'm going to do that by clicking this section of the legend. Now, each category will have two bars, the red bar representing the resolution time from the past, and the green bar representing the current resolution time. Now, this report can be used to visually verify improvements in your resolution times. So your function as a help desk manager is to ensure that the green bar is shorter than the red bar, which signifies the resolution time has improved over time. Additionally, you can also set up resolution time targets as threshold lines on the report to give you a visual reference of where your resolution time needs to be. So that's a pretty handy feature in Analytics Plus that you can use. So those are the 5 steps to implement continuous service improvement when it comes to request resolution times. Since a major portion of continuous service improvement involves measuring your status and working towards where you want to be, an analytic solution such as Analytics Plus would be very handy because it has a lot of these pre-built reports readily available. It also gives you flexibility to create custom reports as you wish. So if you wish to download a free trial of Analytics Plus, you can simply scan the QR code that you see on your screen if you haven't already. Once you download Analytics Plus, you can also sign up for one-on-one sessions where our experts will help you set up Service Desk Plus reports to suit your specific need. So, though the application gives you a bunch of reports right out of the bat, as soon as you set up the integration, you're obviously wanting to have or wanting to create new custom reports. So these one-on-one sessions can help you do that, wherein our experts will help you build the reports that you would want. So that is all from me today. So I'll meet you again in part 2 of this webinar series, in which I'll be discussing how to continuously improve on your SLA compliance percentage. If you haven't signed up for it, please use the QR code flashing on your screen to register. So, like I said, that is all from me today, and I will meet you in part 2 of this webinar series. See you soon.